Hey friend, welcome back to the 1010 Book Club channel. To be successful in life, you will need to have the right skill and above all, the right mindset as well. Today in this episode, we are so grateful that we have Ken Leong together with us. Ken Leong is a principal engineer at Intel Malaysia, and he is going to share with you every bits and detail from his upcoming book, The Magic. Let's dive in and learn from Ken Leong in this episode.
Again, a very good morning to all the ICF Malaysia coaches. It's my pleasure to meet and connect with all of you here today. Right, and this is, I call it a humble sharing from me, mostly through my experience that I gained and a lot of research that I did on people development. So I crystallized this into the book that I'm writing, and it's to be published. My goal is to publish it by this year itself. The manuscript is ready. It's going through the process, what I call editing, the book cover, the typesetting. Once that finalized, then it will get published. Okay, now to begin with, right, let me share a little bit about myself, right? So December 27, 2014 is actually the defining moment or day in my life. It actually happened a month before that. I used to do this annual health check. Annual health check, where we go for ultrasound scan. And the month before that, right, the December 27, 2014, the consulting doctor, told me that there is a 1 centimeter polyp on my urine bladder. I was a bit curious because the year before that, I did the same scan, ultrasound scan, the year before that. It was showing nothing, but then a year later, there's a 1 centimeter polyp. So I asked the consulting doctor, what is this about? The doctor said that, well, probably it's something that you should be worried about. I thought about it. I said that, well, could I just request for a referral letter to see a specialist, to see a urologist, just to suit my curious mind whether there's something wrong with me, right? So I get the letter, and then I went back home. I put it aside because I have to go for a business trip to United States. It's a 10-day business trip. And after the 10 days, I came back. I was so tired, and I found the letter sitting in front of me on my desk. At that moment, I was just thinking that, wow, December, end of the year, I'm tired. I just want to take a year-end vacation break with my family, right? I just thought about that. Or should I really go and see the doctor? Something inside me was nudging me, say that, let's go and see the doctor. So that's what found me on that day, 27th of December, in the doctor's clinic. Right. So the doctor did a visual inspection through a cystoscope and also a biopsy. And that's when he broke the bad news to me. And I'm diagnosed with bladder cancer. Because I still remember that day very clearly that as I reached my home, I went in, how to break that news to my wife. When I broke that news to my wife, actually, both of us just broke down and cried. I still remember that day, that moment. My daughter, who was looking at us, she couldn't comprehend. She was just 7 years old then. She couldn't comprehend why both of us broke down and cried. And I still remember that day at the doctor's office. The doctor told me something. He said that, hey, KL, you don't fit the high-risk profile of someone who would get bladder cancer. Because A, I'm not a smoker, and B, I'm not above 60 years old. I'm less than 40 years old, right? About 39 when I got diagnosed with bladder cancer. So I kept asking myself, why me? What exactly have I done wrong? Oh God, why does this have to happen to me? I kept thinking about it. I was so down. My whole world was just totally devastated. I kept thinking about what about my family, what about my kids, because the doctor told me that this cancer, unfortunately, is aggressive. So I tried to rationalize how to come up, because for us engineers, right, that's what we do. We try to analyze and come up with an answer, right? Now, these are typical characteristics of engineer. And I just couldn't find the answer, and then suddenly one day I woke up, something dawned on me that, hey, KL, if I don't have the answer right, I actually have a choice in front of me. A choice to either feel like a victim of circumstances, to be bitter for the rest of my life, whatever life I have left remaining, to blame someone for what is happening to me, maybe to even blame God, right? Or I could choose to think that God was telling me to change my life through this crisis. And that's what I did. I chose the latter. I pretty much overhauled my lifestyle. I eat healthily, exercise daily. I'm still doing that, exercise daily nowadays. And not just about my physical health. Actually, I changed everything. My mindset, my heart, my soul, and how I relate to others. And a month later, I went for the surgery and a chemotherapy. I'm thankful that until today, the cancer has not relapsed. So, what's the key takeaway from this? Right? What do you think? What's the key takeaway from this? Right?
Second chance.
Second chance. Right? Given a second chance. Right? Some will call it maybe a blessing in disguise. Right? After 5 years, when I was diagnosed that I'm medically free from cancer, this thought just came to my mind. Maybe the cancer is a blessing in disguise. Wow, but I shouldn't tell anyone that because it just freaks people out, right? So, and some may call it compensation with death that I've gone through, right? And then given a second chance, right? So I crystallized this into what I call equation. Engineers, we always come with equations, right? A formula, right? Yeah. Right? C plus C equals to R, right? So C means circumstance, right? The situation that we get ourselves in, right? That happens to us. And the circumstance plus the other C is the choice. It's our actions, what we choose to do about it. That actually dictates the results that we get. Okay. So now, circumstance is not something that we can control. It happens to us, a lot of times it's out of our control. But the choice is definitely within our control, what we choose to do, like what I said, right? Do I choose to be a victim of circumstances, or do I choose to believe in something, there's something there, there's a blessing in disguise for me that I could learn from it. And that's what results in, I call it the desired outcome, the desired results. Now, I should put this framework together and using what I've gone through as an example, right? So I could actually, when I was diagnosed with bladder cancer, there's a choice for me, like, feeling like a victim of circumstances. If I feel that way, I choose to feel that way, then what's the results? I'm going to be bitter for the rest of my life, right? Is that the outcome that I want? No, right? I mean, on hindsight, it's definitely easy to say that, right? On hindsight, it's not that simple if you're in that moment, right? Now, if that's not the outcome that I want, then what's the better outcome? Want to be healthy, want to be happy, right? And so what should I do then to achieve that, right? So that what it gets down to, right? I call it empowered action, right? To change my lifestyle in this case. Now, if you look at this, right, that's I just want to give another example, right? Something that everybody could probably relate to better, right? So I often coach people, especially dealing with this, like, oh, my brilliant idea, I have a brilliant idea, but somehow, my colleagues, my peers doesn't like it, reject the idea, right? So, and what does it mean? It means that, I felt dejected, right? The person will felt dejected, and that the idea is being criticized. And what's the outcome? The outcome would be just ignore the person, right? That's traditionally what people will do, right? If somebody doesn't like me, doesn't like my idea, I just going to ignore the person, put the person aside, right? And therefore, the whole teamwork breaks down. Because we work in a team, right? The whole teamwork will start to break down. Now, what's the alternative? The alternative would be, what if I can come up with even a better idea, better than what I have right now? And this is where creativity comes. You can think of not just one possible desired outcome. There are many other desired outcomes possible. It's only limited by how creative we are. Right? Now, based on that desired outcome, I put down here is that the even better idea, right? What do I need to do then? Or what do the individual need to do then? Right? Obviously, is one of it to seek to understand from the person who criticizes it, what is the shortcoming of the idea? Maybe there's some valuable lessons there that once I harness it, I can come up with even a better idea. Right? So this is the framework that I've used and I teach how to shift from, from very emotive states into a productive or empowered states. So this is what I call the first one is the emotion or the impulse, right? Everyone when start with a particular circumstance or particular situation, this is what the first thing will come up, right? And then I'll help the person to move to understand if that is the case, what is the impact then? From the impact, then we'll move to what is the alternate desired outcome, and therefore leads to the empowered actions to reach the desired outcome. Rather than reacting to the situation, but take empowered actions, right? And the other words also to be accountable. So that in the case for coaching, the coachee feels empowered, accountable towards the outcome that the coachee wants. Now, since we have coaches here, so I tailor-made the slides for coaches, right? Okay. So what are the great coaching questions we can ask the coachee to help them navigate through these phases, I call? Okay. The first one is, how do you feel about the situation? Right? Feeling, emotion is a very integral part of coaching. If in a coaching process we cannot acknowledge, we cannot get a coachee to acknowledge their feeling, coaching is a very superficial, I call it. Okay, so the first question is just trigger the coachee to connect back to the feeling, what the coachee is feeling about the whole situation. Now, from there, right, we'll connect back to what is the likely outcome because of that. Situation that you find yourself in, and this is what you're feeling about it, what is the likely outcome? So that coachee can understand that I see the connection, right? Right now I'm feeling this way and how my emotion is driving towards this outcome. And then we ask the coachee, what is a better outcome that you desire? So that coachee can start to explore what truly the coachee wants out of it, right? What's the alternate outcome that the coachee wants? And finally, the last question, so what could you do differently then? Okay? Any questions so far? All right, so for those on the bridge, right, I apologize because we don't have the speaker set up that I can't hear, from those on the bridge. But you can feel free to type in the questions, any questions that you have, comments that you have on the chat. I think Billy is monitoring that and can actually bring it up over here. All right. Now, I'm going to move on. I'll talk something a little bit different. So everybody recognize this person, right? Warren Buffett. He is one of the richest person in the world. And he managed Berkshire Hathaway. Now, what did he say is the number one skill that every person needs to be in order to be successful? What is the number one skill that every person needs in order to be successful? Think for a while. Right, for those on the bridge, you can type into the chat, what do you think is the number one skill that everyone needs in order to be successful in their life? Okay, for those over here, feel free to chime in. There's no right or wrong answer. Yes? Resilience, yes. Okay, good answer, resilience, okay. Especially nowadays, right, in the new normal, right? Okay. Anyone else want to give a try? Reflection, okay. To be able to reflect on what happens, right? To think about it, right? Okay, good. Yes, this gentleman?
Don't lose money.
Don't lose money, okay. So in other words, don't lose money, don't lose, right, Okay, okay, good. Anyone else?
I think he was very particular, or he's very particular about people who criticize his ideas, so he wants to hear the objection and learn from them.
Aha, want to hear the idea and learn from them. Okay, here I call it here differing opinions and learn from that, Okay, all right, thank you. So,
there's a few one, to refresh the book club, someone say reading books.
Reading books, yeah.
And the one that got the light is from Xinjiang. Risk come from not knowing what you are doing.
Sorry, can you repeat it?
Risk come from not knowing what you are doing.
Okay, risk come from not knowing what you are doing. I think maybe it's trying to imply that Warren Buffett knows the risk, right? He knows what he's doing in that sense, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so what he said is really this. Communication is the number one skill for success. Now, Warren Buffett is not a good orator. He doesn't like to speak in front of public when he's in graduate school. And he recognizes it's a skill that everybody needs. So what he did is that he forced himself to teach finance and investment during his university days to adults, to people much older than him. He hated that. But he recognized that this is a very, very important skill, so he forced himself to do it. Okay? Now, James Plummer, a Stanford engineering professor, right, says that all engineers need communication skill as much as deep technical skills. So James Plummer, a Stanford engineering professor, said that all engineers need communication skill as much as deep technical skill. In fact, I've heard from one of a retired Intel fellow, Greg Taylor, right? He told me the same thing. I was sitting down with him having a one-on-one chat. I asked him, what do you think is the number one skill that engineers need? He said, no doubt about it, it's communication skills. Okay. Why? Why communication skills? Imagine if we are brilliant engineers, we have brilliant ideas, but we cannot just articulate the ideas and convince our peers and managers. So what happened to the ideas? Ideas remain just a dream, right? So that underscores the importance of communication, especially if you want to go very far in your career, you cannot sacrifice communication skills, right? No matter how good you are technically, you can't sacrifice communication skills. Now, what are the various types of communication? The various forms or the various types of communication in our work. Anyone? What are the types of communications or forms that you use at work? Yeah, email. What else? Zoom, yes. Yes, online virtual meeting. Anything else? Just talk, verbal, right? We call it one-on-one. There could be talk in the meetings, right? What else? Very common nowadays, right? Yeah, WhatsApp. We call like instant messaging, right? Instant messaging. So these are all the various types of communication that we have that we usually use in our line of work. Now, in terms of the important question is, when do we use which type or which form? In what situation we use which type or which form? Because if we use the wrong type, wrong form in an improper situation, it's going to be disastrous, right? So in terms of a couple of things to keep your thinking, to trigger you to think about when do you use which form of communication is urgency. One of it is urgency. If you have something that you urgently need to communicate, do you send an email? No, right? You know. Or do you send an email and put the, you know, the exclamation mark? Yeah, and then expect everybody to be able to read your email at that moment. Some of us may have that misconception that that's what we do and expect everybody else to read the email, right? Right.
Pack letter in big, bold font size.
Yeah. Yeah, in your face, right? You know, in cap, in bold, right? You know, and then highlight in yellow some more, right? You know, so it's like, and make it blinking.
The subject even better.
Okay. All right. So the joke aside, right? You know, it's like if you need for urgent purposes, you need to get hold of the person, either a call or face-to-face, or IM to make sure that whether you can get hold of the person and talk, you know, if it's urgent. Right? Now, what about the second one is about effectiveness. Effectiveness here means that the message or the meaning for you to get across, to make sure that it's properly understood. That is what I call effectiveness. If you want it to be effective, what form do you use? Or which type do you use? Verbal, yes. Verbal. Why? What part of verbal makes it well suited for effectiveness? It's because of it's a two-way communication. It allows the other party to clarify, to ask clarifying questions so that the person really understands what you mean. Right? That's the part of the effectiveness. And the other one, the third one is reach. Reach here means that how broad you want the message to go out to. Are you just want one person to understand it, or do you want 100 people in the departments to understand it, or do you want just maybe 5 people to understand it? It's about the reach, right? So if you want the whole department to understand it, then it would be more like an email to blast it out to everybody in the department. I'm sure you're not going to do one-on-one with all the 100 people in order to get a message across, right? You know, you won't have the time. Okay, now I want to introduce you to one of the rules here. 73855. What is that rule? Yes, Barry?
It's a model from Bred.
Yeah, a good one. Okay, so what does this 7 number means? And words. Okay, good. Good. So what it means is that the meaning, what we want to convey in a communication, 7% of the meaning is carried through words that we use. Okay? Okay, that's what it means. 38% of it is actually through our voice tones. Do we sound angry? Do I sound angry? Do I sound excited, or do I sound timid, right? And the majority of it is actually through the body language. So for those who like to communicate through email, how effective is it? Yeah, 7%. So now think about it. I've seen so many mishap happens in email because everybody thought something differently after reading the email. Because, no wonder, right? Because only 7% gets through words. Now, on a phone call, how good is it? Yeah, 38 plus 7, right? Yeah, why am I doing a maths class here, right? I'm sorry, I apologize for that. Okay, so, but important is more like a face-to-face, right? That's where the body language is important, how we communicate and we show up through our body language. So you can take away that. Remember, the key takeaway from this slide is remember that the 55% is actually through the body language. I know you ask me, right? Some ask me that, hey, KL, which do you think is the best form of communication? Which type? I say that, well, each one of them has their own use, right? Especially between generations.
Yes.
Especially between generations. The younger generations would like instant messaging. The older generations would like emails. Okay? I have no preference for one versus the other, but the ability to communicate well with a different generation, different people. Okay? That's the key takeaway. Remember that your body language carries a lot of weight. Now, the next thing that I want to share with you is the statistics. The statistics findings that 52% of adults fear public speaking over that. 52%. What does it imply? It implies that I'll give you a gun, shoot me, but do not put me on the stage to speak. Or it implies that put me in the coffin, but don't make me the person to give a speech, a eulogy speech on the person that passed away. You better put me in the coffin instead. That's just what it said. Now, why is there this irrational fear of speaking? There's science behind it. Why is it there's a irrational fear of speaking? It's because of the fear. Why? Why there's a fear? Fear of failure. It's about exposing our vulnerability. I'm standing here to speak, and guess what? I may talk of something that makes fun of myself, and I feel bad, like people laughing at me and those kind of deals, right? So that is the fear. In science, we call it the primal fear of the fight or flight symptom, right? In fact, they call either you fight or you flee or you froze, right? So that's why there's this, I call it irrational fear of speaking, because nobody is going to kill us if we speak something wrong, right? But we still have that irrational fear, our primal fear. Now, which leads to a question is that, is eloquence, the ability to speak, born or bred? Born or bred means that, is it something that I'm born with, I can speak well, is something that I'm born with, or is it something that I can cultivate and develop?
Cultivate.
Oh, okay, I hear. Can cultivate, right? Yeah. What about any dissenting opinions? Is it really cultivated, or is it a talent someone born with? Can be cultivated.
Speaking as a Toastmaster.
Oh, speaking as Toastmaster, great. I really like you brought up Toastmaster. In fact, I gave a speech on this in a Toastmaster event. Okay. Now, I want to share a little bit about a little story about myself, right? Along this line. In my younger days, I studied in an all-boys school, and it has two sessions: a morning session, afternoon session. Afternoon sessions was tailored to the younger boys, so-called 13 to 14 years old. At that time, I was 14 years old. I was in the afternoon session. I was a prefect, and I saw that day somebody was playing a prank on me. It was during the prefect's annual general meeting that someone stand up and nominate me to be the head prefect. And lo and behold, before I figure out what is happening, I was elected as the head prefect, and the prefect master ushered me to the front of the class to give a speech. I was standing there, I was shocked. I was at a loss I was so nervous. I mustered my courage and opened my mouth. Gibberish came out. I stammer. I can see the face of the boys. Some was wild-eyed. Some were giggling. I was like trying to figure out what I should do next. And the prefect master ushered me back to my seat. At the moment, right, I was wishing like Thanos, right? Just snap a finger and make myself disappear. I was so ashamed of myself. And that day, I remember that day, I asked myself this: is talent really something that someone born with, or is something that you can cultivate? And I gave myself a challenge. I said that, hey, KL, take 1 year, try your best. If you are not improving any better, right, then it's a foregone conclusion that it is something that someone is born with, or otherwise you just cannot cultivate. And that day is actually the start of my journey in public speaking. And that leads to 2019, where I won the iconic public speaking contest. So I stammer, and finally it leads to ability to speak in public speaking contest and won it, right? So this is a key takeaway. And every time I talk to someone, I say that something always could be learned. That's my principle. Okay. Now, just a check on time. Okay. Now, I have a lot of bonus material from my book here. I'll see how much I can cover, right? For those I can't cover, definitely you can get the book. You know, all the learnings is there. Now, I want to share a little with the engineers, especially for engineers, right, about effective presentation. I'm sure a lot of engineers have to present their data, you know, to the manager, to the peers to get buy-in, right? Either as a status update, or you want to get agreement or approval. So how best to make the presentation effective? So I share this, all right? There are 3 great words here: ethos, pathos, and logos. So this is 3 forms of persuasion, how you can persuade others in terms of what you want to present, right? Ethos means credibility. Credibility means could be your position, could be your expertise, what you are known for, right? I got some engineers ask me, hey KL, I'm not a principal engineer, I'm just a normal engineer. What kind of credibility do I have in order for me to speak on this? So how do you go about to do that? So I give them a tips. Go and review a material with someone that's credible. Principal engineer, for example. Review that. Take in their feedback, revamp it, whatnot, get it out there, and say that it's endorsed by this principal engineer. That's how you easily get the credibility on your presentation. Okay? Now, the second thing about logos. Logos is something that all engineers do by logical argument, putting the data together to support a logical conclusion and argument. Most engineers do this well. I'm not going to go into that much. And the last one that almost no engineers use is pathos. It's about engaging emotionally. It's about storytelling. You probably notice I use that in the opening of my sharing here. A story about myself that connects to emotions. That's the part that I call it, among these 3, that is the most powerful one. Why storytelling is so powerful? Why the storytelling is so powerful?
It connects to people at a deeper level.
Yes, it connects to people at a deeper level because people don't remember how much you care or you know, but they remember how much you make them feel. The emotion is the one that create the connection, that create the ability to recall, remember things. And that's why storytelling has been the oldest form of skill and knowledge passed down. Since the day that humans can talk, can communicate, storytelling is the way for us to communicate and pass down knowledge from generation to generation. And why people can connect with that? Because of the emotion part of it, emotional part of the story. Okay? Now, just a quick one, like preparation. For engineers, I call it reverse engineering. This is the technique that I use. When I want to prepare for a preparation, for presentations, I use a technique called begin with the end in mind. What is the last page, the summary page that you want everybody to take away with? I usually prepare the summary page first before I think about any other pages. Do I want to get somebody to buy into the decision? Do I want to get some approval? What exactly I want to get out from that presentation? I need to be clear on that. Then I need to write the statement, what I want from the audience, right? Now, after I've done that, I have to ask myself, who is the audience? What's in it for them? Now, who's the audience here, meaning that I can share a bit with you. When the same content, when I present to engineers, to peers, I will tailor it in a certain form. If I want to present it to a VP or vice president, I will change the form again, because that relates to who's the audience. Okay? And the different audience look for different things because of what's in it for them. Now, a VP or vice president will look at it from the standpoint of the business. So I must be able to talk to him for him to understand what's in it for the business, what's good for the business, and what he can relate to. If I want to talk to engineers, if I talk about that, they're probably a bit lost, you know. So I have to talk to the engineers more in terms of technical part of it. So I need to be able to tailor it into what's in it for them. Now, then only I pull relevant data to support that conclusion or that ending. I know a lot of us engineers, what we do is that we run simulations, we collect data, and then we start to build all the pages of data and data and data. And then once we want to take out something, we say, oh, well, I spent so much time working on it. You know, I spent 1 week collecting data. I don't feel like taking it out. I just want to put it there. Well, you can put it there, but keep all this other data in the backup page if that suits you. Right? Put it into the backup page. But don't put it into your main slides, okay? Because you're just going to get everybody lost. Now, and then rehearse and to keep to the allocated time, and present ahead to key stakeholders for feedback. Especially if you want to present to a VP, better present it to other stakeholders so you can get the feedback, revise it, you know, what do they think the VP wants. And during the presentation, right, you can do a power pose prep. I call it power pose prep. Power pose means that, you know, like standing like this. Why? Why do I only do a power pose like this, right? So the reason is it's connected. Our emotion, our confidence is connected to our body language. Now, often science says that our body language reflects our emotional states. Actually, we can tweak it the other way around too. We can get our body language to influence our mind state as well. That's why the power pose, right, can help us to gain confidence when we feel nervous during a presentation. So do this ahead of it. And start with stating the outcome you want. I actually start with the summary page to begin with. This is what I want to get to so that everybody knows what I'm leading to, what this presentation is leading to. And clarify with your audience, not necessarily to bulldoze through the presentation. I've seen a lot of disastrous presentation because of the presenter is so gung-ho on sticking to the narrative or getting what he wants, whereas everybody else is trying to put him off, right? You know, but if somebody is trying to put it off, there could be a good reason. So clarify with the audience what exactly may be something that the presenter missed, right? At the end, it's actually a two-way conversation, right? Because of that, right, if you truly clarify and understand that, you may get a better outcome. I guarantee you most of the time you're going to get a better outcome. Now, and then after that, conclude and restate what you want. And that's a code. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. This is actually a famous quote by who? Who came up with this quote? If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. It's Albert Einstein, one of our most brilliant minds. So he said this, right? And he needs to explain the most complicated things in the world, in the universe, right? And yet he said this. Okay. All right. Now, effective communications, right? What is the most important aspect of effective communication? Anyone? Yeah. What is the most important point when we talk about effective communication? Target audience understand the point that we want to say, right? In fact, most of us go for classes on effective communication with the goal of able to influence the other party, right? Now, if everybody go to the same training, what will happen to the world? Everybody is trying to convince each other, so what will happen to the world? Nobody listen. Everybody think that they are perfect. Nobody listen. So what is the essence of effective communication?
I think it's sincerity.
Sincerity. And I call it two-way.
Active listening.
Yes, as coaches, what we do. Active listening. Effective listening. So it's actually a two-way conversation. Right? So what is important is that there's me, there's the others, and a two-way conversation so that we can understand how we create a win-win. Okay? It's never about how do I make sure that everybody could listen to me. Because if everybody wants that, nobody will listen. Okay, so that's one thing I want to share, and I'll share a little bit more. Okay. Now, besides communication, what else can help a person to go far in his career? Or be that whatever matter that the person chooses to, the goal that the person wants to achieve. What else can help the person besides communication? A growth mindset. Okay, great. EQ, emotional intelligence. Okay. Now, there's something I want to share here is about mentoring. Okay. I probably should not have talked about this. I probably should have called it coaching, right? Since we have so many coaches here. Okay. Okay, mentoring. Okay. What is mentoring? Guidance. Right? Someone that can show us the path. Right? What is important about mentoring is that just to make sure that we don't get into the pitfall by simply choosing a mentor. What's the criteria for choosing a mentor? You must be very clear what you want to achieve, and you choose a mentor is someone that has achieved that before. All right? You don't choose a mentor who have never done that or achieved that, then that will be a very tough journey. Now, is mentoring the same as coaching? Yes, it's different. Unfortunately, in Intel here, we get confused between mentoring and coaching. We thought that both are the same. Actually, they are not. Mentoring is more like show and tell. The mentor has the answer. It's a show and tell. Coaching is about the coach asks great question. Answers lies within the coachee. We draw out the answers from the coachee. So that's the difference. And why is mentoring important? I guess I've gone through that to mentee because it can lead to greater career success, including promotion, raises. Everybody wants that, right? And the question is, how likely are mentees promoted compared to those without mentors? Anyone want to take a guess? How likely? how more likely is someone with a mentor, right, get promoted compared to others without a mentor? Anyone want to take a guess?
3 times.
3 times more likely. Wow, very. Anyone else? Anyone else? 3 times more likely. Anyone want to top that or? Okay. It's actually 5 times more likely. It's not 3 times, it's actually 5 times more likely. This is actually done through a studies on a technology company, on a tech company. It's actually 5 times more likely. The reason why I put these statistics up here is that for those of you who never thought about mentoring, just hope this sticks in your mind. If you have a mentor, you are 5 times more likely to be promoted compared to someone without a mentor. Okay, make sure you find the right mentor. This one, because especially for those that have are more advanced in their career, not really what I call recent college graduates, right? You know, especially those that feel like some of us may feel like I'm kind of stuck in my career. I advance through my career, I get promoted, but suddenly I kind of hit a rut. I kind of feel stuck, I'm not moving, right? So one of the things that I want to share first is this. It's a quiz. Which horizontal line is longer? It's the same. How many have seen this before? Well, are you sure it's the same? Yes. Sure. No. The top one is longer. Why? Why do we say it's the same? Because of preconceived notion, because we have learned, because we made mistakes in the past, and the right answer is they are equal length. But I purposely twist this to hammer back the point that, what point do I want to hammer back?
Preconceived perception.
What we learned before that have carried us so far in our career to today may no longer be able to carry us forward. Sometimes we need to call, I use this term, unlearn. We need to sometimes unlearn things that we have learned in the past. Okay? To relearn. Right? So what got you here won't get you there. Marshall Goldsmith said this. Right? So I can relate back even through my own experience. You know what, in Intel what we do is that we used to promote engineers to managers if they are competent, they are good, they are independent, we promote them to managers. I was promoted to a manager after my first 2 years in Intel. And God, that was a disaster for me. Why? I learned the hard way that,
Different skill sets.
yes, it's a different skill sets. You know, the first thing I become a manager, you know what, as all good engineers say that, I know the best, I know the BKMs. Please just follow exactly my BKM and we are good. And never like that. Until the day I asked myself, if everybody just do like what I said, how can we become better over time? How can we as an organization become better over time? And as situations change, how are we going to adapt and become better over time? If I just ask everybody to just follow the BKM. What I know today may not be sufficient, may not be good enough another 5 years down the road. So that's why I learned, I changed, I become a coach. I'll be able to coach people, and the key thing about manager is that we deliver through people. We don't deliver through what we do, but we deliver through people. So I learned that the hard way, you know, after my 2 years in Intel, my first 2 years after I graduated from college, 2 years in Intel, to learn all this the hard way. So that's what I call, what got you here won't get you there. And I want to share with you Napoleon Hill. he wrote a book in the 30s. It's the first self-improvement book I've read at 14 years old. By luck, I chanced upon this book. I was just opening it and read the thing. He has this saying that says that every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Something like the blessing in disguise. Something like what I went through when I was diagnosed with cancer. What is equally true is this, that nobody realized. Every success carries with it the seed of an equal, if not greater, destruction. Nobody shared this, right? So I want to share this with you. It's just the polar difference on the previous saying, right? The previous saying is this. And I want to share with you this. Why? Because success breeds complacency. It creates pride in ourselves. When we have that pride, we think we know best. We know what has been working, what didn't work, and we keep on to that. And gosh, suddenly we find ourselves that we are struggling, we are stuck, we couldn't move forward. So the good thing is that I want to trigger all of you, especially those who are stuck, right, to think about this. It's because of every success carries with the seed of an equal, if not greater, destruction. What do I need to unlearn in order for me to move forward and grow? What I hold as gospel truth that I need to let go before I can grow. I work with my team, and some of it are very strongly held belief in how the design needs to be done. Until I gave an impossible challenge, and everyone realized that we really need to throw away that assumptions. That's what we hold as the gospel truth, otherwise we just can never break through. Okay, so with that, right, just want to cap a bit about a little bit about wholesome success. I advocate this about wholesome success because especially in the pandemic days, in the new normal, everybody was very focused in the past about career, right? This means your waking hours is you spend your time on your career, on your work. But in a wholesome success, I just want to highlight the fact that you have all these other elements, right? To me, wholesome success is when I'm successful in not just one element, which is career, but I'm successful across all these other elements. Like, for example, the mind, this means that I'm doing something that is intellectually challenging my mind, that I'm passionate about, that's about the heart. The body is that I stay physically fit and healthy. So, and then definitely there's a financial independence, the family, and then community, what I impact in the community. So this is what I call the whole spectrum of wholesome success. It's just not about career. Why I bring it up here is that when you reach your midlife crisis, you will, believe me, you start to think about this. Okay, and the last one that I want to share a little bit is about, we all feel like we are a ship navigating in stormy seas right now. We are lost. We started with the pandemic. The first wave is the pandemic, and the second wave is the tech recession. All the tech companies are just downsizing. We felt that we are lost at sea somehow. Now, what are the things that can serve as a compass for us to navigate through this? What is the key thing that can serve as a compass to help us navigate through this? Anyone? What is the magic thing that can help us to navigate, like a compass? Help us navigate through this turbulent time, where things are uncertain. I'm even lost sense of my direction.
Vision.
A vision, yeah. To encapsulate that more, I call it a life purpose, which is akin to a compass. What is a life purpose? A life purpose is something that the why, the reason we do what we do. The reason we wake up every day to do something. In essence, is that. I just want to skip to example of that, right? So that it becomes clearer. I call it higher purpose. but different from life purpose. Because somebody would say that my life purpose is to become a millionaire, right? Or someone would say that my life purpose is to become a billionaire. I call it higher purpose because of, trust me, a very self-interested life purpose, which a very narrow focus, don't carry you far. You need a higher purpose, which means that a purpose that you serve that carry the greater goods for everyone, for the mankind. So that's what I call the higher purpose, right? Example of higher purpose is Oprah Winfrey, to be a teacher and to be known for inspiring my students to be more than what they thought they could be. Why is a high purpose important? Because when times are tough, in fact, Intel has a purpose as well, okay? Okay, for those who didn't know, go and check, go and Google what is Intel's purpose. So when times are tough, right, this is what keeps us waking up every single day and being resilient, right? I heard just now about being resilient. This is what keeps us resilient. This is what holds us steady when times are tough. Because every day we wake up, we know this is what we set out to do, right? Besides that, Amanda Steinbach, to use my gifts of intelligence, charisma, and zero optimism to cultivate the self-worth and network of women around the world. Walt Disney, simple, 4 words, to make people happy, right? And even a company like IKEA, to create a better everyday life for the many people. So what's your purpose? Again, you hit your midlife crisis. I can guarantee all of you will go through it. You start to search for this. Okay, in my book, I have a process to help you to discover what is your higher purpose and how to put it into a mission statement like that. Okay? And the tips, right? The grander your high purpose, the more power you have. The grander means that if you have a very narrow, self-centered type of purpose versus a very grand purpose, the grander purpose, the more power you have. And finally, these are other contents of books that I won't cover. I just don't have the time over here. I apologize. But I hope that today has been, I call it a productive sharing for all of you. At least something you can take away that you can not just know, but practice. And can connect with me offline, right? Especially if you have some doubts, you want to find out something more, you can connect with me offline and join the book club so that you can learn more from it as well.
Kim Leong, there's a question from Lai. How do we repurpose to find our purpose?
How do we repurpose to find our purpose? Yeah, maybe the shortest answer is that read the book, right? Sorry. Okay. I think the question means this is that I have a purpose today, and my life experience telling me that maybe I need to repurpose or change the purpose. And in fact, if even I have changed the purpose, how do I know that it is the final purpose? Or is it maybe just I haven't got it right yet, right? So this is what I usually advocate to people. Acid test. If you have a purpose, if you go through tough times, and after the tough times, if it strengthens your purpose, great, you got it. If after tough time you find that something is not quite right, you need to refine it, great, do that. Don't be so stuck up with the purpose that you've identified. Explore with it, test it, especially through adversity. You're going to find feedback to refine it. Okay? Once you refine it, right, don't get so hung up with it. Go ahead with it. Live your purpose, I call it. Right? In my book, I'll show you how to live your purpose. Once you identify your purpose, how to map it out so that you can start living your purpose. Right? And along the journey, you may find that, hey, you know what, I have to come back and refine it. It's okay. You have to be a little bit more like your child, your inner child. What childs do when they play? They build something and they find that it's not quite right. They just smash it all down and then they build again. You must have that notion of ability to play with it, to mess things up a little bit, and then rebuild again. Okay? All right, I hope I answered that question.
Another question?
Yeah.
So you mentioned lifetimes, what about coaching?
Oh, great. Great questions. Okay. Okay, the question is that if mentoring can increase the chances of a mentee being promoted by 5 times more likely than someone without a mentor, what about someone with a coach? How more likely the person can be promoted compared to someone without a coach, right? Okay. What do you all think? What's the answer? What do you all think?
I saw a survey, if only training is 20%, 22% of the effectiveness, but training plus coaching is can up to 88% of the effectiveness.
Okay, up to 88. From 20%, let's say like, if we just attend training, we get our employees just to attend the training, what they learn is like 20% more, right? They can become 20% more productive out from the training. But if you combine coaching after the training to coach the person to be able to utilize the training, then the productivity could ramp up to 88, right? From 20 to 88. So maths again, right? 88 over 20. How much more? 4 to 5x, right? Okay. So anyone else want to take a guess? How much more coaching can make a person more likely to be promoted? I think everybody stays silent because waiting for answer from me, right? Yeah, actually, I don't have the answer. But what I'll do is that I can look up the answer. Right? The only thing I can say is about the ROI of coaching. There are many studies have done on the ROI of coaching, return of investment of coaching. That means that how much money we put in, to create these coaching services for the employees, how much you can get back, right? Like what she said, there are multiple X return. ROI is not in the 2-digit of percentage. It's in the 3-digit of percentage. Multiple studies have shown that. At least that I can share.
So we rest our case.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's.
Let me ask this a very good question. This is the last question that we're going to take. What is the breakthrough key action that you have made from top to bottom, especially when you deal with the cancer, the C plus D equals to R? How long does it take?
Okay. Besides the C plus C equals to R, what else? What else do I do? Do I change? And how long does it take? Okay. Let me see how to best verbalize this one. I'll probably go back to that page because of, I use this page to illustrate it, Wholesome Success. What I do is that I recalibrated all these 8 aspects of my life. When I was diagnosed with bladder cancer, I recalibrated all this. First and foremost is my body, physical health. So I asked myself, what do I need to do? As engineers, we measure things. When we say we do something, change something, we measure it. Like how much water I drink, the type of food that I eat, how many hours I sleep, how much exercise I do. In fact, I do daily exercise. Now, I know a lot of engineers, right? Before this, I don't do much exercise at all, I have to admit. Before I was diagnosed with bladder cancer, I don't do much exercise at all. Now, how can someone that don't do any exercise at all, right, can turn into someone that can do exercise every single day? How do we flip that? Connect with me offline. I can teach you very simple tricks that you can flip it and do it. Okay? Yeah, because habits, to change a habit is tough. Some of you hear from the book James Clear, Atomic Habit, right? Before that, I play around and find that this is what makes it effective. The small change leads to big outcome. Okay, so the same goes for exercise. And the other aspect of it is my soul can relate back to my life purpose, the higher purpose, what I do. The interesting thing is that, like what I shared just now, I actually identified my life purpose before I was diagnosed with cancer. And when I go through that whole episode, right, and I come back out, my life purpose doesn't change. So it tells me something that, hey, maybe I got my life purpose right. right? It's really connect with me. And for family, like how much more time do I want to spend with the family? What is important with the family? And what is really work-life balance? I have a different way of looking at work-life balance, and it's in the book again. I wrote it in the book. And financial. Now we have a saying that I was just talking to the engineer just now. We have to prepare the umbrella before it rains. Financial independence is that how do you make sure that nowadays, right? The world is so uncertain. A pandemic hits. How do you prepare for this? We call it the black swan event. Right? In the investing world, we call it the black swan event. So how do we prepare for that? That we can be financially taken care of. At least financially taken care of for the interim period of time that is for certain will happen. Economic downturn cycles happens every 10 years or so. And do you have the financial means if you lose a job, right, to be able to cover at least 18 months? That's a valid question for all of us to ask ourselves. Do we have the financial means if I lose a job to cover 18 months? Why 18 months? Study shows that economic downturn comes and go after 18 months. So you need to be able to track yourself over 18 months so that you can find back a job, economy recover, you find back a job, so that you don't go bankrupt in the interim period of time. I call it that's the most basic one. Okay, obviously there's more than that. And then community, what do I want for the community? What am I doing? What am I contributing to the community? What do I want to see? I ask myself all these questions, I map all this thing out. It takes me how long? 2014 I'm diagnosed. In fact, I started to work on this right in January 2015. I started to work on this, and it took me about a year to map all these things out, what I wanted to do. And I changed my career as a result of that. So, and then this also put me on the path to become a PE, a principal engineer. For those who doesn't know what PE means, a principal engineer. And I got promoted to be a principal engineer in 2018. So all this, I call it, the thing that set forth this is back to that defining day in my life, 27th December 2014. Okay, I hope I answered that question. If not, you can feel free to connect with me offline. Okay, back to you, Bill.
This is all the time that we have for today. If you like video like this, remember to subscribe to us as we are going to share a monthly book club sharing just like this. If you like this episode, please check out Making Coaching the Everyday Thing by In Hui that I'm going to post the link over here. And finally, be a little bit kind to yourself and the people around you. And importantly, happy learning. See you in the next episode. Bye bye.